Hey, what's going on, y'all? Good morning, good morning, good morning. You're tuning to the Morning Edge right here on 1540 AM 101.7 FM. I'm your host, Big Sarge. It is Pete Thursday. Pete Thursday. 281-587-1540 is the number to call in. Once again, that's 281-587-1540 is the number to call in. And make sure you're following us on the Edge Radio Network on Facebook. And if you cannot, listen to me live. Stream me live. Listen to me live while you're sitting in your cubicle. Edge Radio Network. And I also got the super producer, Nessa. What's going on?
Good morning.
How you doing today?
Good. I'm awesome today.
I do feel like I need to put these on. Give me 1 second. I don't want to mess my hair up, though. I did my hair this morning. Once again, you tuned to the Morning Edge right here on 1540 AM 101.7 FM. Nessa, did you hear all that thunder and then all that rain that came last night?
Oh, yeah. I had some branches fall near the house. Power went out.
Wow. You said the power went out?
Power went out. I was at work, too. We had to close 4 hours early because the lights would not come back on.
Wow.
I mean, I was happy. So it wasn't a bad thing.
You said it's not a bad thing?
No.
Good morning, all my essential workers out there. Everybody had to get up and go to work this morning. Hello. I hope you have a great Petty Thursday. Now, so you know I'll have these morning thoughts, right?
Yes.
I have these morning thoughts, and actually, I'm going to be 100 with you, okay? I'm going to be totally honest with you right now. Last night I had a morning thought. Mm-hmm. You know what? Yes, it was still last night. I'm trying to think, because I was up late last night. I started to watch the Jeffrey Epstein thing that's on Netflix now. I decided not to. I'm going to wait till the weekend and I'm going to binge the whole thing. But I was up watching NCIS, of course. The episode where Abby left. You watch NCIS?
No.
You are missing out on life. Anyway, so I was up and I had a morning thought. Let me ask you a question. Mm-hmm. Do you know how many people it is on the Texas Supreme Court?
No, I do not.
You know anything about the Texas Supreme Court?
Nothing.
Okay, give me a second. All right.
Oh, it's what's it, a lecture time or?
Pretty much. Yes. And the only reason I ask, right? Mm-hmm. Later on in the show, we're going to get into the looting and the rioting that's going on in Minneapolis right now, where the people there are uprising because of the death of George Floyd, which we'll talk a little bit more about that too. I got a little bit more details. We talked about that at length on yesterday, but I started to, notice something. I ask myself this question: if that happened here, right? If that happened here, what would happen? Now, and the reason why I went off into deep thought like this is because I said the laws are made in the state of Texas by the Texas Supreme Court. Most people can't even tell you who is on the Texas Supreme Court. Nobody can tell you. There's a lot of people out there that lives in Texas right now who will listen to my voice in Houston and surrounding areas, greater Houston. They don't know who it sits on the Texas Supreme Court, but yet they're always out here spewing all this stuff. And I was like, you don't even know who make the laws. You don't even know that you can vote for the Texas Supreme Court members.
Oh, I didn't know that either.
See what I'm saying? They serve a 6-year term. They all serve a 6-year. Now it doesn't run. They stagger them so they can always have different. So like I'll read the names in just a second, but some people are up for election. And I'll read those names in 2020, December 2020. Some is not up until 22, 24. So they stagger them like that as far as the terms are concerned. But I'm saying to myself, y'all always out here preaching about voting for the president every 4 years. You don't even know who sits on your own Texas Supreme Court. The nerd I am, I'm a nerd. You figured that out now, right?
Yeah.
The nerd that I am, I love to research and I love to have this type of information only because, let me tell you something. I've been in a lot of rooms where I've been the smartest person in the room. Mm-hmm. Nobody could tell. Because just because you are the smartest person in the room doesn't mean you have to act like the smartest person in the room all the time. Sometimes it's just great to keep your mouth shut and just listen. I tell people all the time, listen, I don't know how spiritual you are, but I am. The Bible says, slow to speak, quick to listen. Be slow to speak, quick to listen. Side note, I give all my single people, right, men and women, I give them this advice. If you want to know how to treat a man, if you want to know how to treat a woman, just shut up and listen, and they will give you the blueprint. If you shut up and listen, anybody that you're trying to date will give you the blueprint. They'll tell you exactly what they like, what they don't like, how the last 2 or 3 people messed up. All you have to do is keep your mouth closed. Just shut up and listen. So for a lot of times for me, I'm slow to speak and quick to listen, because as I listen, I'm taking in and I'm ingesting and digesting everything that's coming to me. I'm listening to everything that's being said before I respond. Now, last week I told you all, I said a lot of you all listen to respond instead of listening to comprehend. The moment you start listening to comprehend instead of listening to respond, your life will be 10 times better. So, here's the thing. I went and did a little research myself because I did not know this. I knew there was a Texas Supreme Court. I didn't have a clue who sat on that. And I said, in order for me to be out here and be on this airwaves and be able to tell people and talk to people in different areas, city in the city of Houston and surrounding areas, in order to be in some of these rooms that I'm about to be in more, because listen, I'm only used to being in, to be honest with you, I've been in some rooms, but I'm only used to being in sports rooms. So sports unites everybody. You could talk about sports all the time. So I went and I looked up the Texas Supreme Court. There are 9 Supreme Court judges: Nathan Heck, Paul Green, Eva Guzman, Deborah Lehrman, Jeff Boyd, John Philip Devine, Jimmy Blaylock, Brett Busby, and Jane Bland. 9 Supreme Court justices that sit on the Texas Supreme Court. 4 of those are up for re-election come December 2020, their term ends. So this next voting cycle that we're about to have, on the ballot will be 4 Texas Supreme Court judges that are up for re-election. Chief Justice Nathan Heck, Justice Jeffrey Boyd, Justice Brett Busby, and Justice Jane Bland is up for re-election. What are you going to do about it? Do you even care? How many of you all can call into this show right now, 281-587-1540, and tell me you've actually voted for the Texas Supreme Court? Can you tell me that? Because if you could tell me that, and if we could talk about that, then we can move on to other things. But until then, I keep telling you all, stop telling me to vote for the president when you are not even voting in the local or the state elections. See, in order for us to be able to fix things, not only in Texas, but in Minnesota, in New York, in Georgia, in Florida, in Louisiana, in California, in Chicago, like, we have got to start at the local level and work our way up. Like I said, later on in this show, we'll definitely talk about the riots that's going on and what can be done outside of rioting and looting. We'll get to all of that. But I just had this thought this morning that, like, a lot of y'all don't even know who makes the laws in your own state. I hope that this serves as I don't even know what to call it. I hope that this helps. How about that? I hope that this helps you do a little more research in finding out what actually goes on in your state outside of every 4 years voting for the president. That's what I'm here to do. To all the millions and millions of listeners, because, I'm going to be honest with you, Nessa, that's how I feel. I feel every time I get behind this mic, there's millions and millions of people listening and watching. They say you got to practice how you're going to play. So it may not be millions and millions right now. It will be, though. Right. There will be a time where millions and millions of people will hear my voice and be like, you tell them, Big Sarge, with your stupid self. But like I'm saying, it's just like, so, because in all honesty, I just taught you something this morning, right? Yeah. And that's what we're supposed to do, Nessa. That's what we're supposed to do. I mean, we're right here on Edge Radio Network. It says Powerful Talk. It says also where truth matters, right? Mm-hmm. So that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to be able to spread the truth, tell people, what's going on. Just like I learned last night, right? Mm-hmm. My job was to educate everybody else who may not have known. Now it's your job to keep it going. You know that, right?
I know now.
That's how it works, Nessa. That's how it works. When you learn something, I put it like this. Do you know why? First of all, hold on, let me do this. Because I gotta have this. Nessa, do you know that there's only like a 0.0000000000001% difference between us and apes, monkeys? You know that, right?
Yeah. We learned that in school.
Huh?
You learned that in middle school.
You would think some people learned it, but some people don't, right? Mm-hmm. And if you watch, what do they call primates, correct? Mm-hmm. If you watch the primates, what do? They learn, they go out and they learn it themselves, and then what do? Go back and teach the other primates, mm-hmm. right? They learn and they teach. That's why the ape family and the monkey family, that's why they're so smart. And that's why they're able to do. That's why when people call me an ape outside of my fraternity, right? Because I'm a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, Eta Gamma chapter, Prairie View A&M University, A-Phi, right? Outside of being called an ape there, when people call me like an ape or a monkey, oh, you monkey, I was like, you know how smart monkeys are? Like, monkeys are smart, very smart. But one thing that we need to learn from them is when we learn something, we go back and we educate and we teach others. Because if not, if the knowledge stops with you, what good are you? You know what I'm saying? And this isn't a personal attack on you. I'm just saying, I'm speaking to the millions and millions of people who are listening and watching. If we don't pass the knowledge that we learn on, our people will lack from the people will perish, for lack of knowledge. The people will perish for the lack of knowledge. Now, before we go to the break, I'm going to tell you this. I have a t-shirt that I'm going to wear probably about August because I've gained the COVID-19, so I can't really fit it. I've been back in the gym, though. Shout out to the matches on the park. I've been back in the gym getting myself together, but there's a t-shirt that says, knowledge is a performance enhancing drug. That's what I had that t-shirt made by my friend. Shout out to Jonte. Her daughter made that shirt for me. She has a little t-shirt business and that's what I wanted. Knowledge is a performance enhancing drug because the more knowledge you have, the better you perform, right? Yeah. Right.
I learn something every day with you.
That's what I'm talking about. I bet you go home and tell your fiance, you be like, I work with this guy.
I do talk about you, but it's only good things.
Good. Has he ever seen any of the video?
No.
You should show him and be like, oh, that guy is awesome. Tell him to come to the wedding. That voice you hear is my super producer, Erin Nessa, the 30-day fiance. You tune into the morning answer right here on 1540 AM 101.7 FM. Hey, when we come back, we're going to jump right into the headlines. We'll be back.
Total eclipse of the heart. Once upon a time there was light in my life, but now there's only love in the dark. Nothing I can say, a total eclipse of the heart.
This is Sean Stockings, New Radio Network. Now I'm only falling apart. Nothing I can say, a total eclipse of the heart. A total.
Hey, welcome back. You tuned to the morning edge right here on 1540 AM 101.7 FM. I'm your host, Big Sarge. That's Nessa, the super producer. 281-587-1540 is the number to call in. Once again, that's 281-587-1540 is the number to call in right here on Petty Thursday. God dang it, I meant to take my keys out of my pocket during the break. Losing my mind, Nessa. I'm losing my mind. All right, before I went to the break, I asked the question, hey, do you know who sits on your state Supreme Court? If not, you should find out. You should definitely find out. Start with start with your Supreme Court in your state, and then work your way around to who's the senator and who's the congressman for your district, and who's the governor and lieutenant governor and the sheriff, and who's on the school board, and who's the county commissioner, and who are these judges. Start finding that stuff out, and then move. Once you work your way around that, leave the presidential election till make that last. Make the presidential election last. Know what's going on in your state first. Also, let me go ahead and just put this out there. I know tomorrow is telling like a TIE is Friday. I get that. I got it. And today is Petty Thursday. So let me go ahead and be a little petty. I'm going to speak directly to the African American churches. Stop pimping out the votes. You know what that means. You know exactly what that means. Stop letting these politicians come into your church and speak to your parishioners and speak to your congregation when they only come around when it's time to vote. And you get a big check for the church and a little bit on the side for a love offering. All the while, these politicians that people only see during election time, only have access to during election time, are speaking to your church talking about what they're going to do. Also, people, citizens, American citizens, start voting your interest, not party. Listen, not one time, Nessa, not one time did you hear me say that all nine judges that sit on the Texas Supreme Court, They're all Republicans. All Republicans. And guess what?
No.
8 out of the 9, white. Eva Guzman is the only minority that sits on the Texas Supreme Court. You know why I didn't say anything about that?
Why?
Because people should already know. Don't be complaining about what goes on in the state of Texas if you ain't doing nothing about it. Don't talk about the laws and how Texas is a red state and this, that, and other. Well, if you want to turn it blue, then you need to start doing what you need to do to turn it blue. Or if you vote red, then stay red. However it is that you get it done, it doesn't matter to me. Vote your interest. That's all. All right, let's go into the headlines. Hold on 1 second. Got to do this. All right. Headlines. Ending the extra $600 a week unemployment for Americans. Ending this extra $600 a week Americans are getting in unemployment benefits could cost the U.S. more jobs. Let me read that once again. Ending the extra $600 a week Americans are getting in unemployment benefits could cost the U.S. more jobs. So you see the unemployment rate numbers came out today?
I did not.
2.2 million Americans are unemployed right now. So money that comes from the $2.2 trillion CARES Act is set to expire at the end of July. If the $3 trillion HEROES Act stimulus package is not passed, and that would extend benefits through January 2021. Now, here's what some lawmakers propose, that the additional $600 may discourage some workers from going back to work, and they have proposed a $450 return to work bonus. Who gonna do that, Nessa? Who gonna give up an additional $600 a week to go back to work for a one-time payment of $450 that's going to be taxed?
No one.
It also tells you where we are as a nation and where we are as a country, that people would rather get the money from unemployment than go back to work because they're making more. So this is what I don't understand, right? This is what I don't understand when you get all these people like, hey, we need to get the economy back started. You know, we need to get these people back to work for what? You ain't paying them nothing. You want to get them back to work so the people who own the companies, the people who own these businesses, and I'm not talking about small business. I'm talking about these big businesses. You want to get these people back to work for what? So you can pay them pennies on the dollar?
It don't make any sense.
At all, does it? No. It doesn't make any sense at all, because there's people that are getting that additional $600 a week is helping. And you know, when I read this article, because it was on yahoo.com, when I read this article, some of the people were saying that, you know, I spend more money and I put more money back into the economy that I get from unemployment than I do when I'm working and getting a check. So some of these people that are getting unemployment are making more money off of unemployment than they are, you know, that they are when they go to their regular jobs.
That's true. I was in the same boat.
Were you?
Yeah, I was getting an extra $600 a week.
Speak on it, Nessa.
But the thing is, when I went back to work, I was offered my job back, but I turned it down because I got this one. Mm-hmm. The thing is, they have you sign something saying that they offered you a job, and they send that to unemployment.
So they be playing them games.
Oh yeah, so they know, like, you were offered a job and you refused, and they can actually stop your unemployment.
Which is really weird. I mean, and I understand it, because they're like, well, because I think that on the questionnaire, on the questionnaire, they ask you, hey, were you offered a job? Were you willing to work? Mm-hmm. You know, how many jobs did you look for? Yeah. Right? I mean, you know.
Or applied to, or whatever.
Right, yeah. I mean, you know, somebody told me, I'm lying, I've been on unemployment. But they tell you that, right? And you look at it and you say, okay, well, if I'm offered a job, of course I want to go back. But let's just say that remember I told you last week about the young lady who didn't want her name put in the lower thirds during her interview, but she was being videotaped.
Yeah.
You remember that? She's like, I don't want to be identified, but you can video me though. Don't put my name though. Don't put my name. She said that she was barely making anywhere from $200 to $300 a week.
Wow.
And now she's making more from unemployment. I don't know. It's one of those things where I'm like, I don't know what we can do. I have no clue. But I understand we got to get this economy back started. We got to get this nation back rolling. But it ain't going to be no time soon. And look, hold on. I got a couple of minutes, right?
Yes.
Let me say this. I got a couple of minutes. Hey, people, listen. Come here. Get closer to your apparatus. No, Big Sarge ain't about to scream. I just need you to come closer because I got something I need to say. Keep your hands out of athletes' pockets. Stop telling these athletes that, well, I lost a job that I was making thousands of dollars, a year on. And, here you are complaining about making $1 million a year. Guess what? You had the same opportunity to make those millions of dollars that these athletes are making. They chose that profession. How dare you because you're missing out on your sports? How dare you because you're missing out on your entertainment? These athletes need to take pay cuts and get back out there to get this country some sense of normalcy. They're not out there to play for you. That's their jobs. Nobody comes to the Starbucks and say, hey, I can get extra foam or I can get an extra shot of espresso if you take a pay cut. You're going to be like, no, I love my coffee, right? And I'm saying that because I keep hearing, especially when it comes to baseball now, because these baseball players are saying, I don't want to you're trying to cut me so much. Some of these baseball players, say they're making $25 million a year, right? Mm-hmm. The owners want to cut them down to like 7-8 million, right? And people are saying, well, you should do that in order to get back out there on the field. You should do that to get us, get us going again as a nation. Let's get going. No. Like I've said this since I started covering sports back in 2015. I said that then, I'll say it now. It's entertainment for you. It's a job for them. So unless you're willing to walk into somebody's house and tell their spouses and their kids and their parents and the people who depend on them, hey, look, I want your husband, I want your brother, I want your son, I want your dad to take a pay cut so I can enjoy baseball again. And I'm just using baseball as an example because I want to be able to enjoy baseball again. That's what he should do. And get out there on that field and make me feel good. Now, it don't work that way. And I don't understand why y'all want it to work that way. I don't. It doesn't make any sense to me. Oh, one more thing before we go to. Hey, shout out to Denzel Washington. You hear what he did?
No.
He stopped a homeless man from being potentially killed by the police. He got out of his car. He seen a homeless man wandering in and out of traffic. He got out the car to talk to him. The police came up and he acted as a barrier and a shield in between the police and the homeless man. Shout out to Denzel Washington. That's the type of things that we need to be doing, not bum rushing the police. Something we'll talk about when we come back from the break. When we come back from the break, I'm going to go ahead and jump into it. We got to talk some unorganized chaos, excuse me. You tune into the Morning Edge right here on 1540 AM, 101.7 FM. We'll be back.
He's got to Hawaiian noises. He's banging on them bongos like a chimpanzee. Oh, that ain't working. That's the way you do it. Get your money for nothing. Get your chicks for free. We got to install a microwave oven, custom kitchen deliveries. We got to move these refrigerators. We got to move these color TVs. Listen here, now, that ain't working. That's the way you do it. You play the guitar on the MTV. That ain't working. That's the way you do it. Money for nothing and your chicks for free. Money for nothing. Chicks for free. Money for nothing. Chicks for free. Ooh, and money for nothing. Chicks for free. 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 Chicks for free. Money for nothing. Chicks for free. Look at that, look at that. Money for nothing. Chicks for free. 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 Easy, easy money. Easy, easy chicks for free. Easy, easy money for nothing. Chicks for free. That ain't working.
Hey, welcome back. You're tuned to the Morning Edge right here on 1540 AM, 101.7 FM, Houston, Pasadena, Galveston. What's going on? It's Petty Thursday. I'm your host, Big Sarge, along with the super producer, Nessa. What's up, Nessa?
Morning.
281-587. 1540 is the number to call in. Once again, that's 281-587. 1540 is the number to call in. Listen, I may have rushed through that last part, so let me say it one more time. Shout out to Denzel Washington, actor. You know, I like Denzel Washington too. Didn't I use him against young Cody in our versus battle?
I think so.
It was Tom Hanks versus Denzel Washington, right? Mm-hmm. I remember that. So shout out to Denzel Washington for being a barrier in between the police and a homeless man in California on, I think it happened on May 22nd. But I just read it. So that's crazy because I'm saying to myself, this is something we should have been known about. So shout out to him. All right, Nessa.
Yes.
What year were you born?
93.
Okay. Let me make sure I got this right. So 1 year before you were born, right? Mm-hmm. In 1992, an African-American man led police on an 8-mile chase in California. And when they finally caught up to him, the police officers beat him. It was on video, and the officers were still acquitted. You know about Rodney King, right? Mm-hmm. You know about the Rodney King beating, right?
Yes.
1992, he led him on an 8-mile chase. They finally caught up with him, and they beat him. And it was caught on video. And even though they had the video, 4 officers were still acquitted. Now, after that, right, after those 4 officers were acquitted, for 5 days, they rioted in LA. Like, I know you probably don't remember this, but you've seen it before, correct?
Oh, yeah, there's a documentary on it.
It is, right? Mm-hmm. Have you gotten a chance to watch it?
I've seen it.
And so they rioted, and what happened was they caused over $1 billion in damages. 60 people were killed, more than 2,000 injured, and over 8,000 were arrested. Over $1 billion in damages back in 1992 was caused by these riots and this looting. 8,000 people were arrested. That's 8,000 people that got criminal records now. $1 billion in damages. 60 people killed. So here's the thing. So the tensions were already high in LA, right? Mm-hmm. Because the year prior, a young lady was killed. An African-American young lady, Letitia Harlins, was 15 years old. She had been shot and killed in South LA by a Korean liquor store owner. That owner, she was killed because the owner said she was trying to steal a bottle of orange juice. Video showed her trying to pay for the orange juice. And the store owner still killed her. Mm-hmm. Went to court. Know what happened? Mm. Instead of getting 16 years, that was minimum, the judge gave the Korean liquor store owner probation and a $500 fine, and told the family of Latasha Harlins, told the family of Latasha Harlins, it's a time to heal. We need to get past this. I don't understand how you tell a family that who has just lost their child to a violent act. $500 and a probation, right? Mm. So I get the anger, right? So I get it. I got it in 1992 when they tore up LA over the Rodney King verdict. It was a lot of stuff that had built up. There was a lot of, how can I say, police harassment, police, killing unarmed civilians, police coming through the neighborhoods just arresting people because they wanted to. So I get it. Here's the thing though, Nessa. 28 years later, South Central LA is still recovering. They have no resources. They got vacant lots. They're one of the poorest communities in America, high unemployment rate, high poverty rate, no banks, parks, grocery stores, or health centers. So I get it, right? I get it that you felt that the 1992 riots and looting was worth it, because here we are, we have an African-American male being shown on videotape being beaten by the police, and then the police were able to get off of it. I got that part. I got it. Is it fair? No, it's not. But 28 years later, the community is still suffering from these riots. You know how hard it is to recover from $1 billion in damages? Very, very hard. So here's my thing, right? Because let's fast forward it. Ferguson, Missouri. You remember that? Mike Brown case.
I do not. Hands
up, don't shoot. You remember? You never heard that saying? Mm-mm. Hands up, don't shoot. Mike Brown was killed in Ferguson, Missouri. You know what they did? They rioted and they looted because the officer, Darren Wilson, if I'm not mistaken, got off. Baltimore, Maryland. Young man was killed by the police. Police got off. They rioted and they looted their own city. So here's my thing. Fast forward to right now. Fast forward to what's going on right now in the city of Minneapolis. Fast forward to what's going on right now. Now, like I said on yesterday, we talked about at length. I know because I was so worn out after the show yesterday. I had to sit in my car for a second and gain my composure because I was wiped out. That's how upset, how passionate, how mad I was. So I get home, and as the day goes on, I see the protests. And now that the protests are going on, now guess what they're doing in Minneapolis? They're looting. They're rioting and they're looting their own community. I don't understand it. And the reason why I don't understand all the riots and all the looting that's going on, the reason why I don't understand it, because come 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks, 8 weeks, 6 months, that community has to heal. You're running into Target, stealing flat screen TVs. You're running into Target, stealing lamps. You're setting buildings on fire in your own community. And guess what you're doing? I understand the way that I watched George Floyd die on that street with that officer with his knee in his neck and his hand in his pocket. The way I watched that was horrible. But by the same token, George Floyd lost his life. And guess what y'all are doing now? Y'all are causing people to lose their jobs. When you burn down the Target, did you ever stop to think that how many people are going to be affected? I'm sorry, not burned down, looted. When you looted and you tore the Target up, did you ever stop to think about who is going to be affected? I'm not even talking about, let's just talk about African Americans, because George Floyd, Houston native, was an African American. How many African Americans do you think are affected because they lost their jobs? Somebody said, well, they get unemployment. Huh? What are you talking about? You're out here rioting and looting in your own neighborhoods, destroying your own neighborhoods. And what is that going to get you outside of a 65-inch television? Some hand soap, some towels, a Keurig machine, a bike, some electronics. Well, we damn sure know y'all ain't going to the book section. Some clothes. Is it worth it? This is what I don't understand. South Central LA is still recovering. Ferguson is still recovering. Baltimore, Maryland is still recovering. And why? I get it. I got it. What else can we do, Big Sarge? I don't have the answers. I don't. I know the problem. I don't know the solution outside of, hey man, you got to get out here and vote beside somebody than just the president. You got to get out here and vote for your congressman. You got to get out here and vote for your senators. Hold them accountable. Hold the people who make the laws accountable instead of taking the law into your own hands. Who gonna come clean up your community? I'm not finished with this. I'm here to go to the break, but I'm not finished with this because the other question that I have is this. When it's time for the property taxes to be raised because the community needs to be rebuilt, when the school taxes are raised because it's time for the community to be rebuilt, when things don't come back, go and look at Ferguson. Do you know that Ferguson right now is still trying to heal? Still trying to heal from what happened. So I don't get the rioting. I don't get the looting. I don't understand it because guess what? You're not doing anything but adding fuel to the fire. And then not only that, you're out here protesting, you're out here looting, you're out here rioting, and now you get a criminal case. Do we even want to talk about every time we hear about the black father not being present in the home because they in jail, guess what I seen on television? A bunch of black fathers that are going to go to jail. I'm not done with this. When we come back, I want to talk about it some more. 281-587-1540 is the number to call in. You tune to the Morning Edge right here on 1540 AM, 101.7 FM. We'll be back.
Been feeling a little edgy lately? Listen to Edge Radio. That'll push you over the top. 1540 AM and 101.7 FM.
Advertising doesn't cost you money, it makes you money.
Well, give us a call. 281-744-0446. 281-744-0446.
Hi, this is Noah. I just got out of the hospital with some really sick kidneys. Now, I could get even more sick if I get COVID-19. My dad, well, he has to go to work. So the more people who are out there, the bigger chance he can bring the coronavirus back to our house. So please help me stay healthy and stay home. Don't go out unless it's really important. Do it for me. Stay home. Flatten the curve.
Hey, welcome back. You're tuned to the Morning Edge right here on 1540 AM, 101.7 FM. I'm Big Sarge. That's the super producer over there, Nessa. 281-587-1540 is the number to call in. Once again, that's 281-587-1540 is the number to call in right here on Petty Thursday. Make sure you're following us on Edge Radio Network on Facebook. So before I went to the break, I was talking about how in 1992, we're talking about the Rodney King incident, where Rodney King was beaten. Where Rodney King was beaten by 4 police officers after they chased him down. It was caught on camera. The police officers got acquitted. A year prior to that, Latasha Harlins, 15 years old, was killed by a Korean liquor store owner trying to pay for a bottle of orange juice, but she was accused of stealing the bottle of orange juice, and so the Korean liquor store owner shot and killed her. Only got probation and a $500 fine, and the judge told her it's time for us to heal and move on. That's what she told the family. And then it cost $5. So the next year, when the Rodney King incident happened, after the Latasha Harlins incident happened, they rioted for 5 days. $1 billion in damages. $1 billion in damages. 60 people were killed, more than 2,000 injured, and over 8,000 arrested. And like I said, 28 years later, Los Angeles is still suffering from the $1 billion in damages that was caused by the rioting and the looting. Ferguson, Missouri, where Mike Brown was killed, was gunned down in the middle of the street and left there for how many hours before the ME? I can get off into that case, but we won't. Ferguson, Missouri, is still recovering from the rioting and the looting that was done after Officer Darren Wilson was acquitted. Well, I'm sorry, he didn't even get to court. The grand jury said they're not going to even press charges on him. That's where you need to start. Let me side note right quick. That's where you need to start. You really want to get things done? That's where you need to start. You need to start by telling your city, when you got these officer involved police shootings, we don't want grand juries. And I don't understand why we still have them like that when it comes to cases like this. For those of you all who don't know, what a grand jury does is a grand jury listens to the prosecutor, the state prosecutor. It listens to the DA, and the DA tells them what went on. The DA brings in their own witnesses. So all they ever hear from, all the grand jury ever hear from, is the DA, and that DA determines whether or not, how he presents the case, whether or not charges can be filed. Let me bring it a little bit closer to home for some of you all. In the Ahmaud Arbery case, two district attorneys had to recuse themselves because they didn't want to bring charges against the young man and his father, murder charges. They didn't want to, and they let him go. They said, hey, let him go. Don't arrest him. One had to recuse himself because he was too involved because his son worked with the son. Then the other one, the young lady, was just like, hey, no, we're not going to do it. Let him go. They were too involved in the case. When they present those are the type of people that presents these cases to the grand jury. The grand jury only hears one side, and then after that is done. So when you come out, the grand jury only has one side. So if we can get rid of the grand juries first, let's get rid of those in these police officer involved shootings, then we can move forward. Now, LA still suffering. Ferguson, still suffering. Ferguson, Missouri, still suffering. Baltimore, Maryland, still suffering. And now guess who else is going to be suffering? Minneapolis, Minnesota. Because as we speak right now, buildings are being burned down. Businesses are being looted. And I'm saying to myself, how? Why? How is that going to... what purpose does that serve? How can we move forward with justice for George Floyd? Okay, I got it. Nessa, I got a question.
Yes.
How does a flat screen TV make you feel better about a police officer? Or how does that make you feel like you've gotten justice for George Floyd, the man who died on the concrete? How does a flat screen TV make you feel better?
It doesn't.
You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And I hear these people talking about, we got to hit them in the pockets. You got to hit these companies and these corporations in the pockets. You know how you do that? You boycott going to their businesses. Mm-hmm. Do you know that there's a study that was done that says the strongest dollar in the United States is the African American dollar. The black dollar is the strongest in the United States. So if we all got together and united and said, we're not going to spend our money at Target. How about that? How about somebody organizes a boycott of Target? Start from there and then let's move on, right? Mm-hmm. Let's move on from there. How about that? How about we boycott these companies who give to the Minneapolis Police Department? Let's start from there. And also, some of y'all don't know this, and this is why I tell you. Nessa, I told you this before. We talked about this before. I'm a nerd. I am a nerd, right? Mm-hmm. Do you know that Minneapolis used to be called Murderapolis?
I did not know.
So this is something, right? What the police are doing, this ain't nothing new. This ain't nothing new. Between the citizens killing themselves and the police officers doing what they're doing, couple of weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, right? Amy Klobuchar, right? The Democratic senator, I think she is, senator, congressman. I don't know, remember what she is, but she just got vetted for vice president for the Democratic Party for Joe Biden, right? Do your research, people. Stop voting party lines and vote your interest. Because if you go back and you look at Amy Klobuchar's record, I don't care how many times she comes out and apologizes now, that don't help them families heal. Hey, Amy, let me ask you a question. Can we go back to 2002? Can we go back to 2002 and talk about the young man who was, you know what? Hold on. Let me pull this up right quick, Nessa. Because I got this. This I got. Hold on. 1 second. I'm going to pull it up during the break. I got something I want to read you about 2002 about Amy Klobuchar. I'm going to move on right quick. But she's a Democrat. So people who only vote straight Democrat, which is a lot of African Americans, they vote straight Democrat. Here's the same person that's been putting your people in jail. Also, hey, go look at Amy's record for prosecuting, when she was a DA, look at her record for prosecuting officers for wrongdoing. She didn't. But what she did do was petty thefts, give them the maximum. Oh, you want to spray paint on this building? Maximum time. Wait a minute, hold on. For spray paint on this building? I get it. I got it. It's a misdemeanor. Can I just get off? No. So I keep telling you all, stop voting party and vote your interest. And it's only because now you got Amy Klobuchar who wants to be your president. And now she wants to come to the black people and say, hey, I'm sorry. No, it don't work that way. Now, I know we up against the break. We're up against the break and I get it. Here's another problem. Here's another issue that I have with the rioting that's going on and the looting that's going on. How many of y'all are actually citizens of Minneapolis? Or how many of y'all just showed up to raid these neighborhoods and then leave? How many of y'all are registered voters? That's my question. How many of you all are registered to vote? Because every time that I hear, man, we got to get bloodshed, we got to get them back, you know, it's time for us to go back at the cops and kill them like they killing us. I got that. Hey, what about the power in voting? Ain't nothing we can do with that. Ain't nothing you can do about voting for your county commissioner, your sheriff, your judges. I put this out on yesterday, Nessa. I said this. I said, you can run out here and you can, you know, jump into these police's faces and you could do whatever they want. And they may not kill you on camera right there, but guess what they're going to do? They're going to arrest you. And then when they arrest you and put all these charges on you, guess who you got to go and stand in front of? The judge. So I ain't going to kill you with these bullets. I'm not going to kill you with blunt force trauma. You know what I'm going to kill you with? Time. Time is the most valuable possession that a human being has. That is the most. Ask yourself this question, Nessa. Do you like wasting your time?
Depends on what I'm wasting it on.
What? I never like wasting time. You can't never get that back. And when you can't get that back, so now what do? You go in front of these judges, be like, oh, so you won't fight the police, huh? Yeah, you going to prison. I thought that was a misdemeanor. Well, it was, but since it said my discretion, you're going to go. I'm going to let you sit down for a second and make you realize that fighting these police officers ain't the move. Because you sit back and you watch. I put it like this, and I know we got to go to the break. I put it like this. The Republicans didn't want President Trump in office because they like President Trump. No, they needed a Republican in office so they could put the Republicans on the United States Supreme Court. It's Republican heavy. They needed President Trump to help appoint these lower court appellate judges, you know, where you go to appeal your cases. They needed him to flood the lower courts with the Republicans. So that's what we need you to do, President Trump. We can care less about you. Some of them think he's an idiot. But as long as you can do what we need you to do, which is place these judges, and once you place these judges, we know that the people ain't going to get out and vote for them, so they're just going to skirt on by. Ask yourself this question before I go to the break. Do you know your county judge? Do you know do you know who's over the school board? Do you know your sheriff? Can you reproduce, or can you think of the names of the people that you voted for in the last election outside of the president? I bet you can. Tune to the Morning Edge right here on 1540 AM, 101.7 FM. And when we come back, we'll talk about it. I think that the people of Minneapolis did do a good thing. And that is what we'll talk about. We'll be back.
The song is for people like you that keep it turned on. So excuse me for getting, but these things I do, you see, I've forgotten if they're green or they're blue. Anyway, the thing is, what I really mean, yours are the sweetest eyes I've ever seen. And you can tell everybody this is the song. It may be quite simple, but now that it's done, I hope you don't mind, I hope you don't mind that I put down in the words how wonderful life is while you're in the world. I hope you don't mind, I hope you don't mind that I put down in the words how wonderful life is while you're in the world.
1540 AM and 101.7 FM Houston, Pasadena, Clear Lake, Galveston.
Has it been too long since you and your partner truly enjoyed each other intimately? Hi, I'm Dr. Viviana Coles, and I believe emotional and physical intimacy go hand in hand. At Houston Relationship Therapy, we help couples and individuals work through the many challenges faced while in relationships. Our experienced and dedicated relationship therapists can help get emotional and physical connection back into your relationship. Call 713-542-2221 or book online at HoustonRelationshipTherapy.com. Schedule your appointment today and rediscover intimacy now at Houston Relationship Therapy.
We don't talk anymore. We don't talk anymore. We don't talk anymore like we used to do. We don't laugh anymore. What was all of it for? Ooh, we don't talk anymore like we used to do. I just heard you found the one you've been looking for. I wish I would have known that wasn't me. 'Cause even after all this time I still wonder why I can't move on just the way you did so easily.
Oh. Hey, welcome back. You tuned to the Morning Edge right here on 1540 AM, 101.7 FM. Yeah, I just messed up. I'm sorry. I apologize. That was all me. That was all Big Sarge. You tuned to the Morning Edge right here on 1540 AM, 101.7 FM. I'm Big Sarge. That's Nessa, super producer. All right. This Petty Thursday, 281-587-1540 is the number to call in. Once again, that's 281-587-1540 is the number to call in. And we're going to just continue talking about what we're talking about. Are the riots and looting that's going on in Minneapolis right now for trying to get justice for George Floyd, who died at I don't want to say the hands, at the knee of a police officer who casually had his hand in his pocket as he killed this man, looking into the cameras like, what? I don't even care. I hear him down here screaming. I'm not letting him up. But I don't understand how the justice can be served by looting Target, by looting Walmart or wherever, and burning down buildings. Because here's the thing. This is what I try to tell people too, Vanessa. So that flat screen TV and all that merchandise that you're running up out of Target, it's all insured. They're going to make more money off of the stuff that you stole. They're going to make more money off the insurance claim than they will off the actual product. So if you think that you're hitting them in the pockets by stealing their stuff, you're not. You're not. They're going to make more money off of the insurance claim. Because guess what? Excuse me. Not only did you steal the merchandise, you tore up the store. So they're going to claim all of that. And I asked this question on yesterday on social media. Hey, what if they never rebuild the Target? Doesn't that affect the community? Doesn't that affect the economy?
Yeah.
People ain't going to have jobs no more. That income that's right there in that area is going to be gone. How much is it going to take to rebuild these neighborhoods that you're rioting and that you're looting? How much are your taxes going to go up? How much are your property taxes going to go up? How much is your state taxes going to go up? How much are your school taxes going to go up? Everything from this point on, everything that is going to take to fix the neighborhoods is going to be done through taxes. And here's the thing. Pretty sure most of y'all who doing the looting don't pay taxes. So guess who do? Your mama, your big mama, your pawpaw, your big daddy. Shout out to Jerome. Where is he? The Surgeon General. Jerome Adams. I think that's his name. Where is he? I haven't seen him. Hey, hashtag free Jerome. Anyway, so you're going to get out here and you're not paying taxes, but your family members, your friends, your girlfriend, your spouses, whatever, they're paying the taxes and they're going to be affected by what you're doing. So the people out here are telling me, this is what we need to do. This is what we need to do. We need to hit them in the pockets. We need to keep going out there and we need to make them pay. Let's go steal their stuff, this, that, and the other. What are the repercussions? Why don't my famous saying is what, Nessa? You don't know, I'm about to tell you. One of my favorite sayings is, stop looking at the selfie and pay attention to the portrait. Look at the panoramic view instead of just looking at the selfie. Because the selfie says we're going to riot and loot right now. The portrait or the panoramic view says, but what's going to happen later on? Going to be these same people complaining about how they don't have resources. And you know what? The people who make the laws, the people who approve the budgets and things like that, going to be like, you did this to yourself. You did this to yourself. There are other ways of boycotting, right? Other ways of boycotting. There's other ways to get things done outside of messing up your own communities. And I'll keep saying this till I'm blue in the face. And Nessa, you see how dark I am? It's going to take a long time. $1 billion in damages happened in 1992 in LA after the Rodney King verdict. $1 billion. 28 years later, the community is still suffering. Still. You were out there to get justice for Rodney King, and 60 people lost their lives. Which, by the way, let me just go ahead and say this one more time. I don't like to call anybody stupid. I don't mind saying idiot. I don't mind saying unintelligent. I don't mind saying uninformed. So all those words I just said, let me tell you something. For those of you all out here advocating violence and saying that, casualties of war, we lose people in wars. That's what happens in the war. We lose people. I'd rather die on my back than stand on my feet as a coward or something, whatever y'all say. Nobody can answer this question for me. How are you going to tell the family members? What are you going to say to the kids? What are you going to say to the parents? What are you going to say to the loved ones of the people that you're advocating to run out here and fight these police officers? You know, earlier I talked about sometimes the police don't have to kill you with their bullets in order for you to still die with your time. Mm-hmm. I seen a video, I think it was in Washington, where the police was trying to arrest a young man and the citizens jumped in and started fighting the police. Well, the police knew that the police fought back. They arrested the people, right? They arrested them. So, no, African-American men didn't lose their lives. But as I'm watching them in handcuffs, I'm saying to myself, bro, it's not going to turn out good for you. You're fighting the police. You're fighting the police. And you're going to go in front of a judge who loves the police. And they're going to give you the maximum sentence. And once they put you in jail, how are you helping your family? Only thing that you can say is, hey, I did what I was supposed to do. Y'all seen, I fought them cops. I fought them cops. Yeah, guess what? You can't get a job now because you're a felon. You're a convict. Repercussions. People don't think about that. One thing that I always preach to African Americans is this, Nessa. And I'm saying African Americans because this is who I need to reach right now. You know what I tell African Americans? Hey, at your job, stop arguing with these people and start documenting. Stop being so emotional. Stop being so emotional and start documenting some of these things. Write stuff down, document it. You know why? Because when it's time to go to HR, the person that you've been talking about I kick your ass, whatever, come meet me in the parking lot, this, that, and other, catch me in the break room, this, that, and other. When you show up, they're going to have every time you said something on paper. Every time you said something. And now you're going to say, but you said that to me. Well, on the 26th of October, you told me, and I quote, Karen, I will choke the dog out of you. Right here, 10 a.m. I wrote it down. I have it recorded if you need to, because every time you come around, I make sure I push this recording. You want to hear your own voice say it? Because not only do I have it on paper, I have it recorded. Mm-hmm. And now you're standing there like, That's why I always look. I don't care. I tell some people, Nessa, if I walked out here and got into a fight right now, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna fall out in the middle of the parking lot, right? I'm gonna fall out in the middle of the parking lot till the police come, and then they're gonna arrest that person, right? Because you expect me to fight back. Sometimes I will. Just depends on what day you catch me, and if the Cowboys lost. It's another story for another time. But if I got out here and somebody punched me in the face, I'm gonna fall out right here. And you know why? Because when the police come, they're gonna arrest them, and then guess what they gotta do? They gotta go to court. So now they got to get either a court-appointed lawyer, or they got to pay for a lawyer. And guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to show up at court every time. And you know how I'm going to show up at court? With a neck brace on. You know what? I'm going to show up at court on crutches. Because I'm going to show you that one punch that you thought that you was big and bad, this about to cost you more than just this pride that you had. And that's all I'm trying to tell other people, is that the repercussions of what's going to happen after this looting is going to be worse than any justice that we could ask for George Floyd. I know we got to take a break, but let me just say this. Have you heard about the young lady who actually filmed it is being sent hate emails by people saying you should have done something? And the only reason you videoed it was for clout? George Floyd video, teen who recorded it traumatized for online backlash. She's receiving backlash and hate for videoing it when you should be applauding her, like I said on yesterday, because guess what? Nessa, I seen the police report. It went down as a medical incident. This young lady doesn't record it. If she doesn't record it, then guess what happens? They get off scot-free. You never hear anything else about them. They move on about their life and go victimize and terrorize other African Americans. And y'all want to tell her you should have done something instead of recording it? That's why I don't like talking to y'all anyway. You're tuned to the Morning Edge right here on 1540 AM, 101.7 FM. Hey, when we come back, speaking of judges, wait till you hear about this one in the Article 15. We'll be back.
The cars tell me, will the stars align? Will heaven step in? Will it save us from our sin? Will it? Cause this house of mine stands strong. That's the price you pay. Leave behind your heart and cast away. Just another product of today. Rather be the hunter than the prey. And you're standing on the edge, face up, cause you're a somebody. Let me see the light within the dark trees shadowing what's happening. Looking through the glass, find the wrong within the past, knowing we are the youth. Caught until the peace out of world without the peace, facing a bit of the truth. The truth. That's the price you pay. Leave behind your heart and cast away. Just another product of today. Deep beside me, I'm fading to black, I'm fading. Took an oath by the blood of my head, won't break it, I can taste it.
Hey, welcome back. You're tuned to the Morning Edge right here on 1540 AM, 101.7 FM. I'm your host, Big Sarge. That's Nessa. Eric, the super producer. Is Pete Thursday. 281-587-1540 is the number to call in. Once again, that's 281-587-1540 is the number to call in. I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you all who are out there listening to my voice. Each and every one of you all that are tuning in on Facebook, on IG Live, on Twitter. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate the support. I really do. All right, Nessa, before I went to the break, you remember I was telling you about this young lady who actually filmed the George Floyd murder? Yes. Because that's what it was. It was a murder. Let me go ahead and read some of this. It says, this is according to TMZ. The girl who captured the death of George Floyd at the hands of the Minneapolis police on video is not in good shape right now. And it's all because of hate she's receiving online. The 17-year-old Darnella Frazier tells TMZ she is utterly traumatized after recording the officer using his knee to suffocate George. Odd as it might sound, Darnella tells us a lot of people have criticized her for doing nothing more than shooting the encounter. She says people on social media are telling her she should have done more to help George, like physically step in and intervene. While the emotion may be understandable, it's not really a practical notion for the African American teenager. Stop. That's all I'm gonna say is stop. It doesn't make any sense. This young lady did what she's supposed to do as much as she could do within the context and the confines of the law. And like I said, if it had not been for this video, we wouldn't have never known that this man was killed and murdered by this police officer casually with his hand in his pocket. We'd have never known that. So stop sending this young lady hate mail and commend her. Hey, speaking of hate mail, Nessa, so guess what? Of course, with all this going on, guess who popped up and popped out? The Patriots. It always amazes me. It always amazes me that these Patriots pop up out of everywhere, but they never ever raise their right hand to take the oath of enlistment. I love this country. Really? Why didn't you serve it? I went into the military at 36 years old. 37. I always get that messed up. I went into the military at 37 years old. Raised my right hand and became part of the 1%. It's only 1% of the nation that serves in the armed forces. So when Mitt Romney was talking about the elite 1%, that's how I took it. He was talking about me. He ain't talking about rich people. He talking about the people that raise their right hand. So, of course, these patriots came out. Here they come, just like they always do, coming out. And guess what they start saying? One person said he deserved to die. If he'd have just listened and did what he was supposed to do. And I said, well, what else was he supposed to do? One person said, I like watching him die. I'm glad that he died so he can't reproduce other N-words. And it's funny because sometimes it's hard to decipher between the real people and the bots. But when you can decipher between the real people and the bot, then guess what happens? You get to digging a little bit deeper, and then you start finding out who they are. Then they lose their job, and what's the first thing they want to say? I'm sorry. I'm normally not like this. This isn't me. Really? Patriot? Really? This is all you. And what did we say earlier last week? Alcohol is liquid courage, right? Some of these people just getting on there. They ain't drinking nothing. They just going on saying, yeah, this is how it's supposed to be. No, it's not how it's supposed to be. But I always laugh. That's when I get into conversations with people and they get to talking this and another. First thing I ask, hey, you ever serve this country? You didn't? Oh, all right. Now I know how to proceed. I have no problem with people who love this country. I have no problem, but if you could serve and you didn't, that's on you. Side note, hey, Mr. President. That was a direct shot at you. You got 5 deferments. Yet you won't talk about how much you love this country, but you couldn't go because you had bone spurs. But you can't produce the medical record showing that you really had bone spurs, except for the ones that your daddy paid for. Moving right along. You know why I don't feel sorry for the police department in Minneapolis? Because now the University of Minnesota has come out and said they're not using the Minneapolis Police Department anymore. Period. They can't come on the campus to do no secondary jobs, no off-duty jobs. They can't come on there and do nothing, right? At all, period. Other people are starting to say the same things. So now you got the people coming out. I think his name is Bob or Brett Kroll, who is I think he's over the police union. So he's jumping in and, saying a couple of things, but people are like, it's not fair. That's not how it's supposed to be. Was it fair when the Minnesota Lynx, the WNBA team, wore shirts we looked up Philando Castile, right?
Yes.
When did he pass away?
It was July 6, 2016.
Right? Where did he pass away at?
In Falcon Heights, Minnesota.
Say that one more time.
Falcon Heights, Minnesota.
One more again for the people in the back.
Falcon Heights, Minnesota.
Passed away in Falcon Heights, Minnesota, right? Mm-hmm. Minnesota. No, funny how we keep popping up back in Minnesota, right? Philando Castile died doing what? Reaching for his gun permit that he told the officer that he had. He says, I have a gun and I have a permit for the gun. I have a CHL. I can carry this. He started to reach for it, and the police officer unloads on him in front of his daughter, shoots across the driver into the passenger side and kills him. So the Minnesota Lynx, the WNBA team, wore shirts in honor of Philando Castile. You know what 4 police officers did? 4 Minneapolis police officers did? They walked off. They said, we're not going to be a part of that. We're a brotherhood, and we stick with our brothers. And no matter what, we stick with our brothers. So before the game even started, they left. So they didn't have any security. But funny, now you want me to feel sorry for you? Because these young ladies wore a T-shirt because your officer was wrong? I could do this all day. I could literally do this all day, but I won't. You know why? It's time for the Article 15. All my Vietnam veterans, welcome home. Germany, good night. All my active duty military personnel that's downrange, good night. Dang it. It is now time for Big Sarge's Article 15. John Russo Jr., come get this work. Nessa, I know that you haven't heard about this, but I'm going to tell it to you anyway. New York judge permanently removed from bench after asking alleged rape victim if she closed her legs. Wow. Oh yeah, let me read that one more time. New York judge permanently removed from bench after asking alleged rape victim if she closed her legs. According to thehill.com, a New Jersey judge who asked an alleged rape victim in court whether she could have closed her legs to stop the assault has been permanently barred from the bench. The state Supreme Court on Tuesday unanimously agreed to remove John Russo Jr. from judicial office. The former Ocean County Superior Court judge was found to have committed repeated and serious acts of misconduct, according to the opinion written on behalf of New Jersey Chief Justice Stuart J. Rabner. New Jersey Chief Justice. You know what Chief Justice means? That means Stuart Rabner is on the New Jersey Supreme Court. See how that all ties itself back up when we started off the show talking about what?
Supreme Court.
Texas Supreme Court. Anyway, judges set the tone for a courtroom, Rabner wrote, especially when it comes to sensitive matters like domestic violence and sexual assault. That tone must be dignified, solemn, and respectful, not demeaning or sophomoric. Oh, never heard that word. Russo fell in that regard. NewJersey.com reported that the decision to remove Russo from the bench had been expected after a 3-judge panel recommended his dismissal in January. He's placed on a 3-month suspension without pay last year after the state Supreme Court Advisory Committee on Judicial Conduct criticized his behavior, saying it demonstrated emotional immaturity wholly unbefitting the judicial office and incompatible with the decorum expected with every jurist. The woman had appeared in Russo's court back in 2016 seeking a restraining order against the father of her daughter, claiming the man physically and verbally abused her, threatened to burn her house down, stole from her, threatened to take her daughter away, and forced her to have sex with him against her will. Russo is quoted in the courtroom transcript as asking the woman if she knew how to stop somebody from having intercourse with you. Judge Russo, you know what sucks? Former Judge Russo Jr., you know what sucks? The fact that you'll never get the opportunity to see if you can stop a man from having sex with you. You'll never get the opportunity to see if a man can stop penetrating you, if you could clench your butt cheeks. How about that? Since we're being graphic this morning, you're going to ask a alleged rape victim, a lady who is being raped, a lady who is having sex against her will, if she knew how to stop it. Could you have closed your legs to stop the assault? What in... I ain't gonna cuss. I can't take this FCC fine. Nessa, I can't do it. What are you thinking about, sir? What are you thinking about? You don't have any daughters? You don't have any mother. You don't have a mother. You don't have any you don't have a grandmother, 2 grandmothers. You don't have aunties. You don't have a wife. You don't have female judges that you know. How can you ask this young lady if she could have stopped the intercourse? Also, let me ask you this question. They don't teach you that in law school, not to say something stupid like that? Even if you're thinking that, you're no better than, I don't know if you heard about this. There was a judge one time that called the 2 attorneys to the bench and told one of the attorneys, hey, you need to get that baby mama in order. You need to get that baby mama in order. Not, hey, your client. Hey, not the young lady. You need to get that baby mama in order. So I think of that the same way I think of John Russo Jr. telling this young lady, hey, why you just didn't close your legs? I wish there was a way that you could be put in that same position, John Russo Jr., to see if you could stop a 6'5", 260-pound man from having intercourse with you. Could you clench? Could you close your legs? You tuned to the Morning Edge right here on 1540 AM 101.7 FM. Hey, I'm out.
Another rocket shot, bombed it loud. Another rocket shot, bombed it loud. Another rocket shot, bombed it loud.